All right, so this is the copy of the study guide that you should have. I know it says test A up at the top, but this is going to be your study guide. And your test will look very similar to this tomorrow. So we're going to go through, work the problems together, and then you'll have that ready to study for your test. So the directions for numbers 1 and 2 say solve the system of linear equations by graphing. So we're going to graph each equation, and remember we are looking for the point of intersection. Where do the two lines cross each other? So let's look at number 1. We have y equals negative 2x plus 1 and y equals 2x minus 3. So remember, whenever we are graphing, if our equation is in this form, y equals mx plus b, okay, we want to plot the y-intercept first. And keep in mind, your y-intercept, that's the number that's in the b position. And then the second thing we're going to do is use the slope, which that's your m, and we're going to do rise over run. So, on the first equation, y equals negative 2x plus 1. My y-intercept is a positive 1, and my slope is a negative 2, which as a fraction, that's negative 2 over 1. So I'm going to plot my y-intercept first. So that goes on the y-axis. And then my slope's going to tell me where to go from there. So I'm going to rise a negative 2, so come down 2, and then run 1. And then I'm going to do my best here to connect these. Hopefully your line looks a little bit better than that. Okay, and then on the next one, same thing. My y-intercept here is a negative 3, since it says minus 3. And your slope is 2, which as a fraction would be 2 over 1. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to plot negative 3 on the y-axis first. And then my slope tells me to rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. And then there's my line. So I'm looking for where the two lines intersect, and that's this point right here, the point 1, negative 1. So that's my answer. Okay, on number 2, we have y equals 6x minus 3 and y equals 4x minus 1. So on the first equation, my y-intercept is a negative 3, and my slope is 6, which is 6 over 1. So I'm going to plot my negative 3 first. And then my slope tells me that I need to rise 3 and run 1. So there's that line. And then we graph the second one, y equals 4x minus 1. So in this one, my y-intercept would be the negative 1. My slope is 4, which is 4 over 1. So I'm going to plot my y-intercept first, and then the slope tells me to rise 4 and run 1. And I can tell right there that's my point of intersection. Okay, so this point right here is at 1, 3. And that's your solution to that system. Okay, so whenever we're graphing, we just graph both lines and we're looking for where they intersect. Now, moving down to numbers 3 and 4, it says solve the system by substitution. Solve it by substitution, okay? So remember with substitution, we're going to take what something equals and just replace it up in the equation. So number 3. I have y equals 3x plus 4 and x plus y equals 8. So the first thing I should notice right off the bat is that this first equation tells me what y equals. Y is equal to 3x plus 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm just going to replace the y down in that equation. So now I have x plus, but instead of the y, I'm going to put the 3x plus 4 because that is what y equaled. And then that equals 8. And then I solve it from there. So I can combine like terms. Remember, this is a 1x. So 1x plus 3x is 4x. I still have a plus 4, and then equals 8. I need to subtract 4 on each side. So 4x equals 4. And then divide by 4. So x equals 1. Okay, now I need to figure out what y equals. So since this equation says y equals, I'm going to take my x and I'm going to plug it in right where the x is. So here we have y equals 3x plus 4. But instead of the x, I'm going to put a 1 because that's what x equaled. So 3 times 1 is 3. And then plus 4 would give me 7. So my ordered pair for this, remember you always do x first, is 1, 7. All right, on number 4, we have negative 2x plus 3y equals 9. And then y equals 2x plus 7. So I notice right here, they tell me what y equals. Y is 2x plus 7. So I'm just going to take that and put it right where the y is. I'm going to substitute that in. So we have negative 2x plus 3, and then you have to put this part in parentheses since you're multiplying the entire thing by 3. Okay, and then we just solve this equation. So with this one, my first step that I have to do is the distributive property. So I have to take this 3 and multiply by everything on the inside. So we still have negative 2x plus 3 times 2x is 6x, and 3 times 7 is 21. Okay, my next step is to combine the x's. So negative 2x plus 6x, well, negative 2 plus 6 is 4, so that becomes 4x. I still have the plus 21 equals 9. Then I need to subtract 21 on each side. So 4x equals, and then 9 minus 21 would give me a negative 12. And then we divide by 4. So x equals a negative 3. Now, that's just what x equals. Remember, we still need to figure out what y is. So I'm going to use this second equation right here. Y equals 2x plus 7. And now instead of the x, I'm going to replace it with a negative 3. So this becomes 2 times negative 3 plus 7. Well, 2 times negative 3 is a negative 6. And then when you add 7, you get y equals 1. So your ordered pair for number 4 is going to be negative 3, 1. Okay, so that was solving by substitution. Okay, so let's jump down and look at number 5. It says, there are 27 red or blue marbles in a bag. The number of red marbles is 5 less than 3 times the number of blue marbles. How many red marbles are in the bag? How many blue marbles are in the bag? So the first thing I want to address is I'm not going to use x and y for my variables. I'm going to use an R for red and a B for blue, so it makes more sense. So the first thing I know is there are 27 total marbles in the bag. So my first equation is just going to be me saying that the number of red plus the number of blue has to equal 27. I also know that the number of red marbles is, and remember is means equals, 5 less than 3 times the number of blue marbles. So remember, anytime we see less than, we're going to subtract, but it's actually going to be flipped around backwards. So you're going to take 3b minus 5. Okay, now to solve this, figure out what's easiest. I noticed that one of my equations is solved for r, so the easiest thing for me to do is take what r equals, and I'm going to substitute it in where the r is. So this becomes 3b minus 5 plus b equals 27. Combine your like terms. 3b plus 1b is 4b. Still have minus 5 equals 27. Add 5 to each side. So 4b equals 32. And then divide by 4. So b equals 8. So that means that there are 8 blue marbles. And then to get the number of red marbles, so I'm going to use this equation right here since it says r equals. And we're going to take 3b minus 5. So 3 times b, well, b was 8, minus 5. 3 times 8 is 24. And 24 minus 5 is 19. So there are 19 red marbles in the bag. Okay, now flipping over to the back. Look at number 6. These directions say solve by elimination. So elimination, we're going to try to get rid of one of the variables. So if I look at number 6, right now nothing will cancel. 2x and negative x are not opposites. 10y and 4y are not opposites. But what I do notice is right here with the x's, one is positive and one's negative. So this is going to be the easiest one to change and to get to cancel. So if I could make this one a negative 2x, then it would cancel. Well, to do that, I would have to multiply it by 2. And remember, you have to multiply the entire thing by 2. So this becomes, the top one stays the same, 2x plus 10y equals negative 20. But now the bottom becomes negative 2x plus 8y equals 56. I just took that 2 and multiplied it all the way through. So now I can solve. Well, 2y plus a negative, or I'm sorry, 2x plus a negative 2x cancels. 10y plus 8y is 18y. And negative 20 plus 56 is 36. Divide by 18 and you get y equals 2. And again, don't want to know what y is, or just y. I need to find x also. So I'm going to take this 2, and to figure out what x is, I can plug that 2 into either equation. It doesn't matter. So let's say I use the top one. 2x plus 10, but instead of the y, I'm going to put a 2, equals negative 20. So 2x plus, well, 10 times 2 is 20, equals negative 20. Then I subtract 20 on each side. So 2x equals negative 40. And then divide by 2 and you get x equals negative 20. So whenever you write your ordered pair, remember your x comes first. So this becomes negative 22 as your solution.